What's up, Dragon Brood? We are here on day 2 of previews for Crimson Vow. And this is actually another good day. So the first 2 days, they've rolled out some really fun stuff. I'm going to try to give you my honest, immediate opinions and ideas on some cards. Some of these I'm going to be seeing for the first time. So please, go easy in the comments. I know I'm going to miss some things and some things we could do more or whatever. I get it. I'm looking at the cards for the first time, but hey, it's either that or these get delayed so I have more time to think about them, but I think I'll just want these every day and want my off-the-top thoughts, so that's what we're delivering in these videos. Also, if you'd be so kind, check out my other channel, PowrDragn Reviews and Reacts. I'll have the link in the description below, where I'm going to be doing a lot of fun reviews, reaction videos, trying out new foods, things like that, just fun stuff that I can't really do here on the gaming channel. If you want to be part of the shenanigans, check that out. That'd be huge. It'd be nice for me. Anyway, let's get into day 2 of these Innistrad Crimson Vow previews. Okay, first up, we have Halana and Elena, partners. I believe these two, if I'm not mistaken, first appeared in Commander Legends, I think, because I'm pretty sure I have the single versions of their cards in my Commander deck. But Halana and Elena, partners, 2 red, green, 2/3, legendary creature, human ranger, first strike, nice, reach, nice. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put X +1/+1 counters on another target creature you control, where X is Halana and Helena's power. That creature gains haste until end of turn. This card's good. This card's really good. If you're already playing a Gruul aggro deck of some variety anyway, this just means the next creature you get, not only does it have haste, it gets 2 +1/+1 counters. And that's if you haven't grown Halana and Elena at all. Right? That's already really good. Now, the creature itself isn't huge for 4 mana. It's a 2/3, but it does first strike and it does have reach, which we know both of those are important right now. So, yeah, this is a pretty good card. I don't think you play a lot of them because they're legendary, but, tossing 2 into any aggro deck that has red and green kind of makes sense. Alright, we have Archghoul of Thraben, 2 colorless and a black, 3/2, zombie cleric. Whenever Archghoul of Thraben or another zombie you control dies, I don't know what that was, I just turned 12 again. Look at the top card of your library. If it's a zombie card, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. If you don't put that card in your hand, you may put it into your graveyard. This is solid. I mean, it's a 3 mana, 3/2. Anytime a creature dies, you're at least going to get to look at your top card, decide if you want to put it in your hand or not. If you're heavy on zombies, you get to put more zombies into your hand. It's cool that it doesn't trigger once per turn, so you can use it as many times as you want. So, overall, I think this is a pretty solid card. I mean, it's unfortunate that it only has 2 toughness, but the upside is really big on this, especially if you're playing it alongside the decayed zombies, right? Because it's one of the things we've talked about is decayed kind of sucks unless you have a lot of things that are triggering off of things coming into play and dying or whatever, and this kind of fits that bill. Hallowed Haunting. The art is wild on this one. 2 colorless, white enchantments. As long as you control 7 or more enchantments, creatures you control have flying and vigilance. Okay. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, create a white spirit cleric creature. That's white spirit cleric creature token with this creature's power and toughness are equal to the number of spirits you control. So you play enchantments to get spirits, and the spirits are bigger for the more spirits you have. I don't know if I want this in a spirit deck or if I want this in an enchantment deck, or maybe I want it in a little bit of both. Because there are some, especially in Historic, there's some decks that already play a fair amount of enchantments, so you can get away playing this. I don't know if there's enough quality enchantments in Standard. However, auras do also count as enchantments, so maybe that's a thing. I don't really know. But I think this is playable, but I don't know if it's a centerpiece to anything. This is the type of card, unless you're building around it from the enchantment aspect, which that's a whole different ballgame. But from what we know now, this is kind of an additive to your cleric's deck. I mean, your spirit's deck more than anything else. However, the fun thing is it does make spirit clerics. So if there is some reason that you need more clerics, this could also be used there. Weird, but it's an interesting token that it makes. Path of Peril. 1 black sorcery. Cleave. of 4 colorless, a white and a black. And you can either destroy all creatures with mana value 2 or less, or if you play the Cleave cost, destroy all creatures. I mean, I don't know. Like, my first thought here is just like, do we need another sweeper in standard? Like, what do we have right now? Like 3 white ones, 4 white ones, and 3 or 4 black ones? Like, that's a lot. And not to count the red one, because we have Draconic Intervention is also, and Cinderclasms. Like, what are we doing? Why? Why do we keep making these? Like, this was almost like an excuse just to try to do something different with Cleave that we didn't really need. So, is it playable? Yes. Does it replace any other sweepers? Hell if I know. But like, I mean, maybe it's something to do against the white aggro decks. I don't know. I'm yeah. Don't. It's playable. I just don't like what the space it takes up in standard. All right, this I have to read a translation on. So it's Voice of the Blessed, white, 2/2, Spirit Cleric. Every time you gain 1 or more life, put a +1/+1 counter on Voice of the Blessed. As long as Voice of the Blessed has 4 or more +1/+1 counters. As long as Voice of the Blessed has 10 or more +1/+1 counters, it has Indestructible. Yeah, this card's fine. Like, it's playable. It's good. We have some decks. I'll just reprise the Abzan +1/+1 counters deck. This fits right in. It's also a cleric, so it gets a bonus for all of the cleric things. It gets +1/+1 counters. You might randomly get flying and vigilance out of it. Well, you're going to get that for sure in that deck. And as a bonus, you could get indestructible. So, yeah, I'm in. Like, easy sell on this card. Maniform Hellkite, 2 colorless, red, 4/4, creature dragon, flying. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create an XX red dragon illusion creature token with flying and haste, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast this spell. Exile that token at the Why? Why did we do this? Why? Why? Why we are like we have to know that these mid-rangey is it decks or whatever, like they this did they need more? Seriously. Did it, I mean, this card, like, not even just that deck. Imagine playing like a mid-rangey Rakdos deck, right? Every time you play a creature kill spell, you're like, oh well, I randomly got another 2/2 or 3/3. Let's go ahead and attack with that bad boy too. Like, this card is good, and it's a 4 mana 4/4 flyer. They didn't cost 5. Like, they probably should randomly just cost 4. No clue why that is, but like, man, the things you can do with dragons now, it's gonna be wild. Like, this card's good. This card's real good. All right, Tauren's Fist of the Angels, colorless, green, white, 2/2, human cleric, training, and trainings whenever it attacks with something that's bigger than it gets +1/+1. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 1/1 green and white human soldier token with training. Yeah, this is good too. This is good too. Like, what is, like, what? I mean, yeah, it's a 3 mana 2/2, which isn't great, but it has training, so the odds of it being a 3/3 or 4/4 is pretty high. Then every single time you play a creature, you get a creature. Like, yeah, this card's totally doable. It's a human, so if it's human decks, it's a cleric, so if it's cleric decks, like, what? Yeah, everything about this is solid. All right, we have another Planeswalker here, which is ripping through the frame. So it's Chandra, Dressed to Kill. 1 colorless, red, obviously legendary Planeswalker. For +1 loyalty, starts with 3, by the way. +1 loyalty, you can add a red. Chandra, Dressed to Kill, deals 1 damage to up to 1 target player or Planeswalker. Interesting, it doesn't deal damage to a creature. It deals 1 damage to a player or Planeswalker. For another +1, you can exile the top card of your library. If it's red, you may cast it. And then -7, exile the top 5 cards of your library. You may cast red cards or red spells from among them this turn. You also get an emblem that says when you cast a red spell, this emblem deals X damage to any target where X is the amount of mana spent to cast that spell. This is just a solid Planeswalker. It's only a 3 mana Planeswalker, which is rare. Starts with 3 loyalty, but you're going to put it up to 4 immediately. You possibly get to take out, well, not even, I mean, you do get to generate an extra mana. So it's possible that if you have another 1 mana thing, or you have like a play with fire or a shock, like that could be useful to protect it as well. I kind of dig it. I don't think it's super powerful, but it does fit a few spots. I mean, we have had some Super Friends decks we've built or whatever that could play this. Some of the red aggro decks or even the vampire based aggro decks could squeeze something like this in to give it access to some extra cards later in the game, but also just nickel and dime the opponent. So, yeah, this one's also pretty good. Alchemist Gambit. Colorless, red, red, sorcery. Has cleave of 4 blue, blue, red. Take an extra turn after this one. During that turn, damage can't be prevented. At the beginning of that turn's end step, you lose the game. Exile Alchemist Gambit. If you play Cleave, it just says take an extra turn after this one. During that turn, damage can't be prevented. We just don't need extra turns cards at all. This is another one just feels like is an excuse to build a Cleave card. Like, let's just not. Let's not. We don't need extra turns. I get it. This is at least balanced and fine, and it's probably not going to be dominant. Not the choice of what they're going to want. You probably don't want to copy this like you do the other ones, but like, why? We don't need to do it. We don't. There's no reason to do this. Like, no more extra turns. Like, literally, it should be a rarity to get an extra turns card. Like, we should see one every like 2 to 3 years tops. We don't need all of these things taking extra turn. Like, if it was one every 3 to 4 years, that'd probably be even better. Honestly, with this, yeah, playable, yeah. Honestly, I'd almost be okay with it if I saw this more in like aggro decks that are playing it as a possibility of maybe getting your opponent tapped down and you can attack, get in 6 or 8 damage, and then you get another attack step effectively and get in with the rest. Like, that would make me less upset about this card, but otherwise, yeah, I don't love it. But yet another sweeper. I mean, like, and it's an instant this time. For 3 mana, you deal 2 damage to all non-vampire creatures. Create a blood token. And you get bonus stuff off of it. It's not even like destroy all your creatures, not mine, because I'm playing vampires. On top of it, you get a blood token. Like, sure, it exists. You'll play it if you're playing vampires. Let's move along. 3 colorless and a red. Destroy and discard your hand. Then draw a card for each card you've discarded this turn. That's actually pretty cool because it says for this turn. And the interesting thing here is don't forget that the blood tokens allow you to discard cards. So it's possible that this could work in that type of a setting. How overall powerful it is, I don't know. This probably ends up being more of a commander card than a standard or modern or historic card. But I don't think it's bad. It's more kind of a pseudo-balanced version of some of the other cards it's trying to be. So I'm kind of okay with it. Okay, this is another one that I have to read the translation, but it's Concealing Curtains. I guess that's the name. 1 black, creature wall, defender. You can pay 2 colorless and a black, transform Concealing Curtains, activate only as a sorcery. It's an 0/4. The backside is an eye horror with menace. When this creature transforms, target opponent reveals their hand. Choose a non-land card from it. If you do, that player discards that card, then draws a card. And it's a 3/4. I feel like this is playable. Like, early on, it's an 0/4. It blocks nearly everything. But then when you're ready, you just turn it into a 3/4 and you get to start attacking. And you get to cost them their best card. And then they draw a replacement. Like, it has menace, so that can't be bad. It goes from a wall to turning into an eye horror, so it just doesn't really fit any creature types, unfortunately, for theme decks. But maybe? I'm going to put a question mark on this one. I need to think on it some more. This is Runo Stromkirk. 1 colorless, blue, black, 1/4, vampire cleric, so legendary. Flying. Also, this is a blue vampire. I just realized that. When Runo Stromkirk enters the battlefield, put up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card. If it's a creature card with mana value 6 or greater, revealed this way, transform Runo Stromkirk. And then the is a 3/5 flying creature. When Krothus, Lord of the Deep, attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of another target attacking creature. If that creature is a Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, or Serpent, create 2 of those instead. This is a weird card. So it's a, first off, it's a blue vampire, but it only has a vampire on the front and a cleric on the front. It eventually becomes a Kraken horror. So it's a vampire cleric on the front that lets you take a card from your graveyard and put it on top of your library if you want. And then you can look at the top card of your library during your upkeep. If it's 6 cost or more, then it flips. So you're playing some number of big cards to make sure you can hit this. It doesn't say, oh yeah, it does say reveal a creature. So yeah, that can't just do spells. Then the backside doesn't care at all that it's a vampire or a cleric, though it does still fly. It's just trying to let you copy other creatures. But it only copies when this card attacks. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like this. I don't like this. I feel like it's a lot of work. Like, you're trying to make sure you have a high cost thing on board, and this has to live as a 1/4. And then if it does live, you get a 3/5. But then the 3/5 doesn't really do anything unless you already have other creatures that are relevant because you can't copy itself. So like, yeah, I think I'm out on this until I see some more cards. And this is our last one for the day. It is Volatile Arsonist, 3 colorless, red, for a 4/4 human werewolf, menace, haste. All right, so that's pretty cool. Whenever Volatile Arsonist attacks, it deals 1 damage to each of up to 1 target creature, up to 1 target player, and or up to 1 target planeswalker. So that's pretty cool. So okay, so when it attacks, it has haste, it has menace, so it's already going to be hard to deal with. And then it gets to ping a creature, a player, and a planeswalker. That's pretty good value. The backside, and it's daybound, nightbound because it's a werewolf. It becomes a 5/5 with menace and haste, so it keeps its abilities. And then whenever Dire Strain Anarchist attacks, it deals 2 damage each to up to 1. Okay, yeah, same thing. So it deals 2 instead of 1. So you can go from dealing 3 when you attack between 3 things to dealing 6 between 3 things. That's actually really good. Now, does this card get played a lot? I don't know, because I'm not really sure what the top end that the werewolf type decks are looking for. Or maybe this doesn't even go into a werewolf deck. Maybe this goes into something else that just wants this as a top end. The one thing I will say, though, is it does have menace, and it has haste, which means it's going to be very hard for your opponent to block it, even after a sweeper. It gets to do incidental damage, which is kind of nice. I like the card. I like the way it's designed. I like what it's trying to do. I just don't know where it fits, is kind of my problem at the moment. Ooh, okay, and that does it for day 2 of previews for Innistrad Crimson Vow. As always, remember, don't forget, I do have the other channels you should check out. Have some fun. If you want to come by to our Discord or any of that, links are down in the description below. Keep an eye out for my daily videos, as always. And we put up our first video of our podcast, if you want to check that out and see what those conversations are all about, because I know some people have asked in my streams and you haven't had a chance to listen to them. Well, now you can watch our podcast, so give that a go. Otherwise, remember to like, subscribe, share, and come back tomorrow for more previews. We'll see you then. That's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.